When a woman becomes silent, the balance of the world shifts. Because she no longer speaks, she expresses herself through her presence. The woman who used to try to explain when she was hurt, who tried to prove herself when misunderstood, is gone. Another has taken her place, one who is calmer, more composed, but far more powerful. She no longer seeks attention, but respect, not approval, but peace. She has realized that the things she used to chase actually overshadowed her own value. And that realization is a woman's rebirth. This birth is silent, but its impact is like a storm, because now she is a woman who does not soften to be loved, who does not change to be valued. She has stopped surrendering her energy to the emotions of others. She no longer tries to convince anyone or explain herself to anyone, because she knows true female power lies not in explaining herself, but in being understood without explanation. She now uses her smile sparingly, chooses her words carefully, and gives her attention rationally. At this point, she is no longer difficult. She is simply a woman who knows herself. And you can neither manipulate nor lose a woman who knows herself, because she has returned to her center. And now, I want to ask you something. How many times in this life have you said, "Enough is enough," but still returned? How many times while explaining yourself did you feel more depleted inside? Just write this in the comments. I'm not proving myself to anyone anymore, because when you write that sentence, it won't just be a comment. You will be announcing the new beginning of your own story. If you're ready, let's begin. 1. Learn to choose what to keep silent about, not what to say. Some women influence by speaking, others enchant with their silence. True power lies not in saying everything, but in knowing what not to say. Because every word makes you a little more readable, but silence turns you into an unsolvable mystery. After a while, people connect not with your words, but with the meanings beneath your silence. When a woman is silent, the person opposite her looks into an inner mirror. They see their own guilt, their shortcomings, their curiosity. That's why the most compelling silence is not punishment. It creates awareness. When a woman doesn't feel the need to explain every emotion, she radiates inner energy. Not everyone needs to know what she feels or why she is silent. A woman's silence is the purest manifestation of her spiritual depth. Because in that silence there is patience, there is maturity, and most importantly, there is control. When you are free from the need to express yourself, you realize that no one can control you anymore. This awareness makes you irresistible, because the person who holds the control sets the rules of the game. If a woman can remain silent when she is angry, hurt, or disappointed, she is now immune to manipulation. Because a woman who can maintain her silence is strategic, not emotional. She doesn't speak, but she thinks. She doesn't respond, but she observes. And in the end, she walks away without compromising her own value. It is at that moment that the person opposite her panics for the first time, because they realize not that they have lost you, but that they can no longer reach you. And this difference leaves a lasting mark. Silence is sometimes the clearest rejection. It is an elegant way of saying, "I am not communicating with you on this level." This elegance elevates you, because anyone can shout, but not everyone can dominate through silence. True charm is expressing your feelings not with words, but with your attitude. This attitude has a particularly deep psychological effect on men in relationships. They become attached to the woman they cannot figure out. They forget the woman they can figure out. However, silence should not be an escape. It should be a conscious choice. It should carry directed energy, not suppressed emotions. This difference makes you strong, not passive. Silence means, I am superior because I am not a slave to my emotions. And this awareness over time makes you a symbol of balance in the eyes of everyone around you. When a woman finds balance, no one can shake her anymore. Eventually, you become a woman who speaks without speaking. It is not your words that resonate, but your presence. People continue to think about you even when they are not talking to you, because they search for meaning in your silence, and even when they think they have found it, they cannot be sure. This uncertainty is the most intense form of attraction. The truly irresistible woman is the one who controls her silence, not her emotions. By the way, liking the video and subscribing to the channel is the most meaningful support you can give me to grow this work. 2. Don't tie your energy to someone else's approval. A woman's energy is her purest power. But most women unknowingly surrender this energy to the approval of others. She smiles to be loved, stays silent to be accepted, and crushes herself to be liked. And at some point, she starts asking, "Am I good enough?" That's when she tries to fuel the fire within herself with the breath of others. Yet, true power is being able to applaud yourself even when no one else does. Because energy that needs someone else's approval is enslaved energy. Have you ever noticed? The moment you think people need to love you, you lose your power, because now it's not you, but their perception that defines you. A woman's energy should be fueled from within, not from outside. Seeking approval is holding your self-respect hostage. Every moment you scatter your energy outward thinking, "Notice me," you move a little further away from yourself. Yet the most captivating women don't strive to attract attention. They simply change the frequency of the environment with their own energy. They are silent, but their presence is loud. It's nice to feel proud when a man praises you, but becoming dependent on his praise weakens you. Because now, the same person who elevates you can also bring you down. If you get approval from him, you will also get rejection from him. This is the cruelest trade-off of self-confidence. When a woman makes her energy independent, she neither swells with attention nor collapses with indifference. She simply remains balanced. And it is this balance that makes her irresistible, because no emotion can manipulate her energy. Protecting your energy is actually an art of war. This war is not fought with anyone else. It is fought with your own mind. Because it is not people's behavior that steals your energy, it is the meaning you give to it. Every time you think, "Why did they behave like that?" you are actually dimming your own light. Sometimes walking away, not responding, or not explaining is not energy conservation. It is an energy victory. When a woman learns to conserve her energy, no one can shake her center anymore. Remember, a woman is sexiest when she is happy, but that happiness should not be triggered by someone else. Because dependent happiness is a temporary light. Inner happiness is a permanent light. The way to nourish your own energy is through solitude, creation, and taking pride in yourself. No one in this world has the right to manage your energy. You are the source of your own universe. When you realize this, neither rejection will destroy you nor indifference diminish you. And finally, you understand this. True validation comes from within, not from outside. When you trust your own energy, people start treating you differently. Because energy is contagious. What you believe, you spread. When a woman keeps her energy at the center, everyone around her starts revolving around her. You become the woman who is approved, not the one seeking approval, because you no longer need anyone's approval. 3. Be mysterious enough to make people want to figure you out. A woman's charm lies not in revealing everything, but in what she hides behind what she reveals. The human mind is naturally curious about the unknown. The unsolvable creates addiction. If everyone can completely figure you out, they will no longer be curious about you. Because when there are no secrets left, the excitement ends. Mystery arises not from a mask, but from the determination not to reveal oneself completely. A woman's magic lives not in what she says, but in what she doesn't say, in what she hides. Even your silence should tell a story. Every action, every glance should carry meaning, but never be fully explained. The phrase, "There's something about her, but I can't quite put my finger on it," should echo in people's minds. That's when a mental connection is made. Mystery is not just a game, it is directed energy. Keeping people curious is not about hiding yourself. It's about showing that not everyone can reach your depth. Because deep women don't speak on the surface. When a woman starts telling everything about herself, she becomes ordinary. Because a woman who loses her mystery puts her energy on the open market. Yet attractiveness lies not in being complete, but in appearing incomplete. When people try to figure you out, they actually start thinking about you. Thinking is connecting. That's why the mysterious woman doesn't talk constantly. She lives in people's minds. This difference elevates a woman from being pleasant to being hypnotic, but mystery should not be confused with coldness. True mystery lies not in distance, but in balance. You don't give too much, nor do you completely cut yourself off. A word, a glance, a smile. Everything must be in the right measure. There should be uncertainty in people's minds about how you feel, but this uncertainty should not be uncomfortable. It should be attractive. Because the mysterious woman is not unattainable, she is simply at a depth that not every soul can touch. And people desire what they cannot reach. Maintaining your mystery requires self-confidence, because not allowing everyone to understand you means risking being misunderstood. But there is magic in that very misunderstanding. Because you are not the same to everyone. Some love you, some fear you, some stay away because they cannot figure you out, but none can forget you. A mysterious woman exists not to be loved, but to leave a mark. This difference makes you immortal. People change, but the impact you create remains. Ultimately, you become more than just a woman. You become a subject of curiosity, an inner puzzle. Even when people aren't talking to you, they think about you, analyze you, imagine you. The mysterious woman leaves an invisible mark. Her energy lingers in the room, even after her physical presence is gone. Therefore, a woman's most powerful state is to exist while preserving her mystery. Because the woman who cannot be solved is always remembered. 4. Use your smile consciously. Too much is cheap, too little is magical. A woman's smile is the purest expression of her energy, but most women unknowingly squander this power. Constantly smiling sends the message, "I am open to your approval." Yet true charm lies not in smiling all the time, but in knowing when and to whom to smile. A smile says more than 1,000 words, because every insincere smile reveals not you, but your mask. And no attraction that comes with a mask is lasting. Some smiles can change the energy of a room, but those smiles are not easily given. A conscious smile attracts attention. A measured smile is etched into memories, because a man begins to desire an expression that is not easily attained. A woman who smiles constantly is found charming but rarely taken seriously. Yet a selective smile is a combination of authority and elegance. You create magic not with your smile, but with the timing of your smile. If you want to be remembered, use your smile sparingly, but leave a deep impression. When a woman learns not to smile in every situation, she preserves her inner energy. Because sometimes not smiling is setting boundaries. Smiling at everything means accepting everything. But a woman in control chooses what to react to. She no longer appears sweet, but balanced. And balance is always attractive. Too much warmth diminishes value. The right amount of coolness increases mystery. When she holds back her smile, people chase after her. This is the most powerful psychological tactic that works unnoticed. Remember, a smile is not just an expression, it is a silhouette. When used at the right moment, to the right person, in the right way, it says more than a sentence. But the foundation of this power lies in the balance of sincerity and control. A fake smile attracts false interest, but a conscious smile breeds genuine curiosity. So always ask yourself, is this smile truly mine, or am I smiling to seek approval? Because a woman is most captivating when she is not trying to prove anything. If one day someone asks you, "Why aren't you smiling?" know that you have been noticed. Because your smile is not ordinary, it is a chosen moment, and that is why you are remembered. People try to figure you out because they cannot easily make you smile. This effort to figure you out unknowingly turns into an emotional bond. If you attract people even when you hide your smile, then the energy is within you. You cannot describe that energy with words. You can only feel it. And if these words have sparked something in you, this is only the beginning. Because a woman's irresistibility is a chain that starts with her smile and extends to her silence, her energy, her choices. In the next parts of this video, we'll explore each link in that chain step by step. So, don't stop yet. When you watch the rest, you'll see how much the power within you has been waiting to be noticed. 5. Don't be unapproachable, be selective. When a woman is unapproachable, she doesn't inspire admiration. After a while, she inspires a feeling of resignation. But when she is selective, she inspires respect. Because selectivity is an elegant way of saying, "I'm not on the same level as everyone else." Unapproachability is like a wall. No one can get in, but you can't get out either. Selectivity, on the other hand, is a door. Only those who appreciate value can enter, and in that moment, without realizing it, you sanctify your own space. If a woman wants to preserve her energy, she must first know who to let in. Being selective is not arrogance. On the contrary, it is the result of knowing yourself. Knowing who to talk to, who to stay away from, who to open up to, is a sign of maturity. Being open to everyone's attention is not self-confidence. It is a hunger for approval. Because a woman who truly values herself does not try to look good to everyone. She simply maintains her own standards, and these standards are a woman's invisible crown. People sense it, but cannot name it. That is why a selective woman always arouses curiosity. Being selective sometimes starts with saying no. A woman who cannot say no eventually becomes unable to say yes to herself. Because every moment you don't set boundaries, you give away a piece of your energy. But setting boundaries is not building walls, it is controlling your emotional flow. If a woman knows what she deserves, she does not settle for anything. A woman who does not settle determines her value. And that is why being selective is not a character trait, it is a philosophy of life. Many women show the same warmth to everyone out of fear of appearing cold. But this disperses energy. True attractiveness lies in moderation. Too much distance breeds arrogance. Too much closeness breeds worthlessness. The selective woman knows this balance. She makes eye contact when talking to someone, but doesn't hold it too long. She shows interest, but always leaves a space, because people want to fill that space. And this psychological interaction is a woman's most invisible but most powerful weapon. When a woman is selective, she gains value not only in her relationships, but in every area of life. Because selectivity works like a filter, it sifts through friends, lovers, opportunities, even thoughts. Someone who accepts everything ends up with nothing, but someone who knows what they don't want ultimately attracts what they do want. This is the universal law of life. Indecisive energy creates chaos. Clear energy creates attraction. The selective woman lives this law instinctively, and in the end, this difference emerges. The unattainable woman remains alone, while the selective woman finds peace with her choice, because selectivity is the silent expression of freedom. In the eyes of others, you become an enigma, but in reality, you have simply simplified yourself. You no longer attend every invitation, engage in every conversation, or take every interest seriously. And one day you realize, the more selective you are, the more valuable you are, because anyone can want you, but you are not available to everyone. 6. Be unpredictable. Preserve the magic of unpredictability. A woman's biggest mistake is becoming predictable. When people figure you out, they no longer fear losing you, because the human mind is interested in the unknown, not the known. That's why true attractiveness lies not in what you say, but in no one knowing exactly when and how you will act. Being unpredictable is not manipulation, it is strategic freedom. When you create the question, what will she do now, in people's minds, you are actually in control. Because a woman who arouses curiosity is always watched. A predictable woman becomes emotionally transparent. Every reaction becomes predictable. If she's hurt, she stays silent. If she misses someone, she writes. If she gets angry, she leaves. And after a while, this pattern gives the other person not trust, but comfort. Yet comfort kills passion. An unpredictable woman doesn't hide her feelings, but she doesn't show them randomly either. She paints her emotions like a picture, choosing each color at the right moment. Therefore, unpredictability is not instability, it is emotional mastery. The essence of being unpredictable is to constantly renew oneself. A woman who always speaks the same way, reacts the same way, and behaves the same way eventually becomes invisible. Because people get used to fixed energies, but they pay attention to changing energies, sometimes not responding, sometimes changing plans, sometimes showing the opposite reaction. These are what create difference in the human mind. That difference expands the woman's space, because the unpredictable woman breaks the chains of ordinariness, and everything that is far from ordinary is always attractive. But there must always be balance underlying unpredictability. Every move made just to attract attention creates a false vibration. True unpredictability is a strategy within naturalness. In other words, you don't change. You just choose not to stay the same when everyone expects you to. This difference makes a person's energy lasting, because people can't figure you out, but they can trust you. Being unexpected is not about not giving trust. It's about keeping curiosity alive. When a woman begins to question even her own routine, her life energy increases. Being unexpected applies not only to human relationships, but also to life itself. Always the same clothing style, the same words, the same attitudes. These make you comfortable, but invisible. One morning, a different perfume, a different look, even a different silence can change your energy. People can't understand it, but they feel it. And feeling is more powerful than connecting, because emotion comes before reason, and eventually you realize this difference. Being unpredictable is not a game, it is a state of being. This state of being increases not only people's interest in you, but also their respect, because an unpredictable woman is an uncontrollable woman. An uncontrollable woman is not the object of any relationship, but its center. She walks at her own pace, determines her own story. While people try to figure her out, she has already planned her next move. That's why unpredictability is not just magic, it's a protective armor. 7. Combine your aesthetics with your personal philosophy. Looking beautiful is not enough to make a lasting impression, because external beauty attracts attention, but internal philosophy inspires respect. True attractiveness lies in the consistency between a woman's appearance and her way of thinking. If you appear elegant on the outside but chaotic on the inside, people will sense an inconsistency in you. However, when a woman reflects what she thinks, how she lives, and how she feels in her own aesthetics, her presence gains meaning. At this point, beauty is no longer an ornament, but a stance. Unless a woman creates her own philosophy, she becomes a puppet in the hands of fashion, trends, and society. Dressing, speaking, and behaving according to the approval of others, all of this diminishes you. But when you consciously build your own principles, values, and style, you become not just beautiful, but meaningful. Because style is temporary, but attitude is permanent. People can't put this difference into words, but they feel it. That's why aesthetics is not an image, it's a message. It's your silent answer to the question, who am I? A woman should use her aesthetics not just to be seen, but to express herself. Your hair, your walk, your tone of voice, the colors you wear, all of these reveal your inner world. If elegance becomes a reflection of your thoughts, you are no longer just seen, you are felt. Because conscious aesthetics is a kind of philosophy. It represents moderation, simplicity, and self-confidence. Every detail says, I am the result of my own choices. And that is why a woman who carries her own philosophy always stands out from the crowd. Aesthetic philosophy stems not from exaggeration, but from balance and self-respect. What you wear doesn't have to be expensive, but it should represent you, reflect your energy. A woman should not scream with her appearance, she should only leave a quiet impact, because elegance is a quiet power. When it is integrated with your posture, your words, your facial expressions, people around you respect you even without listening to you. However, this is not built in a day. It takes shape a little more each day you get to know yourself. And over time, you become a work of art that carries your own philosophy. Feeling beautiful begins in your mind, not in the mirror, because a woman without inner peace always has a trace of fatigue on her face. But a woman at peace with herself shines, even if she has wrinkles. That light shines not with makeup, but with meaning. When a woman asks herself, who do I want to be? Her outward appearance begins to change, because the body is the interpreter of the soul. If your philosophy is confidence, elegance, and awareness, it can be read even in your eyes, and that's why some women look more beautiful as they age. Now pause. This point isn't just about beauty. The whole video's summary is actually hidden here. Because being an irresistible woman isn't about painting your face, it's about shaping your soul. In the rest of this video, you'll see how to transform that inner elegance into behavior, gaze, and energy. Watch until the end, because aesthetics aren't just external. They're also shaped by your thoughts, decisions, and silence. And the woman who notices this difference becomes truly irresistible. 8. Use your kindness not as a weakness, but as a strength. The world now confuses being rude with strength and staying silent with weakness. Yet true strength lies in maintaining emotional balance. A woman's kindness is not submission, it is control itself. Because kindness reflects not someone else's behavior, but your own standard. When you choose to remain kind, you don't reflect the other person's character, you reflect your own. The woman who understands this difference is a leader of her values, not her emotions. Therefore, contrary to what most people think, politeness is not a passive attitude. It is an active declaration of will. A woman does not need to shout to be strong. Sometimes, even a thank you can be as effective as a slap, because no one expects such a calm attitude from you. Politeness is a graceful mask of composure. A woman who does not raise her voice in an argument, who maintains her patience, who listens without breaking eye contact, gains psychological superiority. because people watch those who can control themselves, not those who lose themselves. And every woman who controls herself manages the energy of the environment. This difference is established not with a word, but with a stance. Kindness is sometimes the harshest form of revenge, because a rude person expects the same low frequency from you, but when you don't stoop to that level, you leave them alone with their own reflection. This is the most cold-blooded punishment a woman can inflict, doing nothing, just remaining elegant. People often misunderstand powerful women. They look for strength in shouting and defiance, but the strongest women are those who manage to stay calm, because remaining silent in moments of anger means winning your inner battle. Kindness is an expression of the respect a person has for themselves. The more polite a woman is, the more self-confident she actually is, because she doesn't feel the need to prove herself. Politeness is a choice. It is the elegant way of saying, "I choose not to stoop to your level." You construct this sentence not with words, but with your attitude, and this attitude sets you apart from the ordinary. When a woman develops her own form of politeness, she no longer plays with the emotions of those around her. She holds up a mirror to their soul. But there must always be boundaries beneath politeness. A woman who says yes to everything is not polite. She is directionless. True grace is being able to say no when necessary. Once you establish this balance, no one can take advantage of your politeness anymore. Because even when you smile, you are setting boundaries. This distinction defines a woman's character. Being polite does not mean everyone deserves it. It only shows your level. And when a woman can maintain her level, no game can bring her down. In the end, you become a woman who rules with her silence. Your politeness is no longer an ornament, but armor. People respect your grace, but they also fear it, because behind your kindness lies not suppressed anger, but refined wisdom. And this wisdom makes you both distant and unattainable, because you no longer need to show your power. You already are powerful. You carry your kindness not as a weakness, but as a superiority, and that is precisely why no one can shine at the same level as you. 9. Learn to say no with an alluring attitude. A woman's value is revealed not by how often she says yes, but by what she can say no to, because saying no is actually saying yes to yourself. Most women bend or even ignore their boundaries in order to be loved or understood. But a woman who sets no boundaries slowly loses her energy. The word no is much more than a rejection. It is a declaration of self-respect. And a woman who can say it gracefully establishes authority without being rude. Because the silent form of power is clarity. A man easily figures out a woman who says yes whenever he wants, but he wonders about the woman who can say no, because that woman acts based on her principles, not her emotions. What is attractive is the resistance itself. Being able to say no is not a struggle, but a sign of balance, because saying no is not indifference, it is selectivity. Selectivity is a sign of both mental maturity and emotional control. And human nature dictates that the more limits are set, the more one desires. That is why no is actually a law of attraction. A woman's no gains value with its tone. Said harshly, it is repulsive, but said with self-assured grace, it is enchanting. Because that no is not a conflict, it is a stance. And this stance carries the message, not everyone can touch my energy. People understand this intuitively. Some will distance themselves from you because they realize they cannot control you, but the truly strong ones respect you more, because a woman who sets boundaries is also a consistent woman, and consistency creates trust. Being able to say no requires emotional courage, especially if you're used to saying yes to avoid hurting someone, losing them, or being alone. Saying this word can feel like guilt at first. But then you realize that what really wears you down isn't saying no, it's being forced to constantly say yes. When a woman clarifies her boundaries, her spirit calms down, because she is no longer serving others' approval, but her own inner peace. And at that moment, even her beauty changes, because peace reflects on her facial features. Saying no is sometimes an art. The less explanation you give while doing it, the stronger you appear, because too much explanation gives the impression of indecision, whereas a short, polite and decisive no is more effective than 1,000 words. When a woman is clear, people stop testing her boundaries. So use the word no not with fear, but with awareness. Make it a signature of your character, not a defense. Because your silent resistance is much louder than words. Ultimately, you exist not to be approved, but to choose. Saying no makes you free, not indifferent, because you are now loyal to your own values, not to the desires of others. At this point, no man or the world questions your decisions. They only wonder, what must be so special that she would say yes to it? At that moment, even your no becomes attractive, because the most attractive women are those who rarely say yes, but stand firm with every no. 10. Make your style your signature. Brand yourself. A woman's style is her silent identity. Before what you say, how you look, how you walk, how you gaze, speaks for you. Because the world doesn't listen to you first. It watches you. Style is not just clothing. It is the outward reflection of your energy, your past and your character. It cannot be copied because it belongs to your soul. But when a woman hasn't found her own style, she dresses her identity in random images. A woman who brands herself, however, stands out even in the ordinary. Because she is not a figure, she leaves an impression. Creating your style is not about attracting attention, but about consistency. Being elegant today, messy tomorrow, and exaggerated the day after does not make you appear free. It makes you appear directionless. When a woman defines her own style, she sends a silent message to the world. I know who I am. This determination is an energy that goes beyond outward appearance. People sense this intuitively, because a woman's style reveals both her indecision and her stability. That's why your signature should carry the same tone, not only in appearance, but also in behavior, words, and even silence. Branding yourself is not about not resembling others, but about clarifying who you are. Following fashion is easy. Being yourself requires discipline, because creating your own line means taking the risk of criticism. But remember, being liked by everyone means being remembered by no one. If people are talking about you, even if they're arguing about you, you've made an impression. So don't be afraid of being noticed, just be afraid of becoming ordinary. Because the ordinary is forgotten, but the woman who brands herself leaves a mark. A woman's style stems from her way of life. What you wear tells the story of how you live. If you love simplicity, you seek peace. If you choose dark colors, you think deeply. Bold patterns are your challenge to life. But all these choices must be conscious. Because style is the result of conscious repetition, every detail must function as part of a whole. Branding your style is designing your own energy, not with clothes but with consistency of character. When people see you, they should say, "That's her," not just "she's dressed beautifully." A woman's style becomes a story over time, because what we call style is actually the rhythm of life. Small details, a bracelet, a hairstyle, a perfume, are all signatures. Everyone has a smile, but only some women have a smile that is a brand. Because they haven't reinvented themselves, they've just revealed their essence. Branding yourself is actually the most refined form of naturalness. It's not about attracting everyone's attention, it's about staying true to yourself. Ultimately, you are no longer just a woman, but an influence. People feel that energy not only when they see you, but also when they remember you. Because you have become not just a phase, but a symbol. At this point, even those who copy you elevate you, because you are now a reference point. Turning your style into a signature is the path not to visibility, but to permanence. And permanence is the most elegant form of true power. The secret to a woman's irresistibility lies neither in her beauty, nor her intelligence, nor the attention of others. The real secret is in her ability to rebuild herself. While everyone else in this world tries to attract attention, you make a difference with your silence. Because if you are felt even when you are silent, you no longer need to speak. That is where power begins. When you rule without being seen, when you are valued without being loved, when you can exist without approval, then no relationship, no loss, no silence can shake you. The irresistible woman is neither the woman who tries to please everyone, nor the woman who challenges everyone. She is the woman who understands herself. She conserves her energy, manages her emotions, and gives her attention to those who deserve it. She neither wants more nor chases less. Because she knows what is truly valuable is what deserves her silence. People cannot figure her out because she is reborn every time. That is why, if a woman wants to appear captivating, she must first find her own philosophy. Because beauty without meaning is nothing more than an empty display. Elegance is no longer an ornament, but a form of resistance. If you can maintain your balance amid the noise of the world, you are already different. If you can carry your smile, your silence, your style, your energy, all on the same line, no one can define you anymore. Because you decided not to resemble someone else, but to belong to yourself. And this decision is the most revolutionary step in a woman's life. The moment you can shape your identity without seeking anyone's approval, no one can steer you anymore. And now, a new chapter begins in your story. Because these 10 points don't just tell you how to behave, they remind you who you are. Your silence is now meaningful, your smile strategic, your indifference conscious, your grace powerful, and without realizing it, you have already become that woman, the woman who doesn't strive to be noticed, but is felt everywhere. This is the real victory, to remain in everyone's mind without belonging to anyone.